It's a beautiful, lush landscape. Let the serene flute music pleasure your ears with soft, angelic sounds of peace and tranquility as you've never heard before. Well, at least in video game form. In their latest offering, 11-bit and Inverge Studios bring you Creatures of Ava, a game that squarely places you into this exact cozy landscape, tasking you with saving animals of an infected planet. This game aims to combine both the cozy genres as well as action-adventure, and honestly, cozy games focus on an action-adventure story and mechanics seem to have become a rare breed these days among all the crafting and farming fray. Welcome back to I Dream of Indie Games, and today I want to find out if Creatures of Ava is a beast of a game or just a dying breed. If you enjoy our content, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Also, consider supporting us on Patreon. Your indie gaming community is waiting for you. Creatures of Ava's story premise is set within the space opera genre. The devs, however, take a cozy approach to this genre. You won't find large-scale intergalactic battles. Instead, we follow a group of human scientists aiming to save the planet Ava from an infectious floral or fungal-based disease known as the Withering. Immediately after crash landing onto the planet, Vic wastes no time observing the wildlife, the flora, and humanoids of Ava. In her pursuits to establish comms with her colleague Tabitha, Vic meets Neymar, one of these vaguely humanoid but mostly bird-like intelligent life forms known as Nam. Neymar is an archaeologist dedicated to studying the ancient ruins of Ava for a cure for the Withering. He and Vic stumble upon what could help them, the Naphatar. The Naphatar is a sort of staff that uses science fantasy style bird magic to absorb Withering. But no, it's not the Chozo ancient bird magic. No, the ancient space bird race in Creatures of Ava is called the Antares. And throughout the game, we will discover more lore about this race and their role in protecting Ava as we gain new abilities for the Naphatar. While Neymar is friendly to Vic, not all Nam are. You see, the humans that visited Ava before were not all friendly. Some Nam are standoffish towards humans and believe that they visited the planet with nefarious purposes. The Nam are directly connected to Ava, or perhaps it's Ava that's actually connected with all the living things. The beings on Ava seem to almost have a hive mind-like connection with the planet itself and can speak to one another using talk song, a sort of immediately understood universal language that Nam understands from all beings. This can be channeled through direct speech or using a flute to communicate. As Vic explores Ava, she'll come across 4 regions to cure of the Withering, each of which have different local Nam tribes with their own personality, local culture, as well as issues. They also have their own history with the past humans. Vic becomes more and more invested in not only saving Ava, but her own personal connection with Ava and the creatures of Ava themselves. Now, don't let the Steam tags fool you. This isn't a creature collector the same way Pokemon is. We aren't taming and leveling up animals to fight against foes. Rather, we are saving them and protecting them before sending them to conservation. It's refreshing that when we hide in tall grass, we aren't looking to ambush the creatures. Instead, we're looking to keep them calm so we don't scare them and we can take a quick photo and make sure we see them off safely. We will need to calm the creatures throughout the game. You'll be using a flute to channel an animal's talk song. They'll sing a tune and you'll have to use the flute to mimic the song, at which point the animals will follow you to the safety area. Here, you can channel Ava and connect directly to an animal. This will allow you to take control of an animal and use their special abilities to help you through barriers and find secret loot. Ultimately, the goal is to conserve a certain number of animals in each region. Each region has a set of unique species. You'll always have this as a main objective along with side quests and the main story quests. Before you can move on to another region, you must complete the conservation tasks, but the game never really locks you in to collect a X amount of animals in order to move on to another area. Rather, you just need to complete them whenever you can. Each region is pretty open for the most part. Often, I would just be drawn to collecting animals along the way of doing main story quests. In a way, this gameplay loop of using the flute to have animals follow you and solve puzzles before sending them off Kinda reminds me of Oddworld, making the gameplay feel pretty classic in a wonderful and realized way. As mentioned, the regions are open for exploring, but you'll be using the Navatar to help solve environmental puzzles to help you explore. Some areas are blocked by withering and you need to clean it. Other areas need you to levitate broken stone bridges or slow down fast-growing branches that block your path. You don't have all of these abilities from the get-go. You'll be getting new abilities as you progress in the game. Essentially, this makes the world design feel similar to a Metroidvania, right down to opening up shortcuts for ease of traversal during backtracking moments. In essence, Creatures of Ava is an open world adventure game, but it doesn't try to emulate what Breath of the Wild did. Instead, the open world is more condensed with a lot of hidden things to do in the form of environmental puzzles. The world also can be traversed differently when you connect with a creature, but this world design comes with a different gameplay progression. Yes, you will get side quests, but the game definitely directs you toward the main story. Where the game shine most for me is with the main story anyways, which is very well written. There is combat, but it isn't hard hitting. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's actually pretty fun. Instead of hurting the animals, you're actually curing them with the Navatar. You send out a sort of tractor beam until the withering's health goes down and the animal's cured. When you cure an animal, you don't need to calm them with the flute anymore. Animals will hurt you when they're withered though, so dodging or jumping out of the way of attacks is needed, as well as health and stamina management as a result. When taking this into account, the controls can be a bit weird. You have to hold the trigger and try to dodge without losing connection between the Navatar and the creature. This can be hard to do when there's multiple withered around you. Doubly so since you don't really have good camera control when using the Navatar. But the combat isn't hard, nor is it really that present. It feels relatively cozy, especially when you hear Vic say something like, calm down, in a sweet voice when she gets hurt. She isn't here to hurt or be angry with the creatures. She's here to help them. I didn't find myself getting angry with these encounters at all, even when I did get beat up on. This is probably one of the best implementations of combat in a cozy game that I've seen yet. It's not punishing, it's just satisfying. Some other gameplay features included the ability to craft health and buff potions and upgrades for your character. You'll be getting skill points from rescuing creatures, discovering new things, taking photos, and completing puzzles, which can be applied to buffs for things like crafting output, the Navatar abilities, or even how well you can take photos. You can also collect permanent health and stamina upgrades around the world. When crafting, you're basically just making potions from plants you collect. Sometimes you have to rearrange your inventory at campfires. You can store items at these campfires, which can be reached from any fire you go to, which is nice. Because you can craft so readily, since you're always collecting plants, I found that getting loot isn't that exciting. Finding secrets just yield the same health and stamina potions that I've already crafted, and I usually have enough crafted that I can't even pick them up. I wish there were other treasures. As is, the loot tends to be uninteresting, aside from the journey to get there. The game has a great look overall. The opening cutscene is a beautifully hand-drawn anime-style short movie. And really, I kind of want to see a Creatures of Ava anime after seeing that. The game itself doesn't go for a cel-shaded look, but it does go for a somewhat stylized, cartoony look. The world of Ava is beautiful. There are lush colors that reflect off the planetary mist. The dense jungle region made my jaw drop with how cool it looked. You can look up into the sky and see a large Saturn-like planet, and it's just really awesome. The creature design is on point as well. All the creatures are absolutely adorable, and you can even pet them, which is a plus. The Nom can look silly sometimes. They aren't bad looking. Their animations just can look a bit silly with their big bird looking bodies. I will say, I do notice that there are a lot of repeat models. In fact, I think Neymar is the main Nom character that stands out among the rest. So this can be a little disappointing as villages start to feel samey. Main character models like Vic and Tabitha look great though. Now, models, art direction, and the world design are all solid, but textures can look muddy at points. There are also some animation pauses too. For example, I came across an NPC that is a carver. His idle animation was him carving, but when you talk to him, he just pauses and holds his hands out while he's talking to you. Meanwhile, there's particle effects from the carving still going off, which signals to me that he's supposed to still be carving. It just looks goofy. The muddy textures can be fixed if you fiddle around with the graphic settings. I actually recommend using FSR3 rendering, but it doesn't fix the issue fully. I imagine these texture and animation issues can be patched out though, so it isn't too big of a deal. In the end though, I do wish they went with a cel-shaded look. Bringing in that anime art style from the opening cutscene into the main game would kind of make this feel a little bit more well-rounded, but as it is, I do like how it looks. The game's music is absolutely lovely. You'll get flute music throughout the game, with each region having its own unique soundtrack. It kind of creates a free-flowing feeling as if the woodwind instrument is transporting you to an open-air exploration on Ava itself. This music's also useful. Sound effects are also very solid. For some reason, I found the chunky sound of Vic's boots clunking on stone to be very satisfying. It sounds like there's weight, which immersed me into the platform and exploration. Voice work is also pretty solid. Vic's voice actor especially is great, really fleshing out her character as this curious but caring explorer. Neymar, on the other hand, is kind of so-so. He kind of sounds like a typical New Yorker to me, which I didn't expect since the other Nam kind of go for a more stereotypical sage voice. Creatures of Ava stands out as a wonderfully creative mix of action, adventure, and cozy creature collecting. The scope of the game is really to uncover the story of Ava and to save the animals, and the devs really perfected this main aspect. There are some bugs with animations and issues with textures. I also did experience one crash bug. However, I expect these issues to be pretty patchable. So all in all, I very much enjoyed my time with Creatures of Ava. I recommend it heavily as you will get lost in this amazing world, and so in the end, I'm awarding Creatures of Ava the Silver Genie Lamp of approval.